Some magic and mighty moments here at Oran Park Raceway, and what will we add to that chapter at the conclusion of today's racing? Scaife and Tander on the front row for the first one. Lowndes and Seaton on row 2. Seaton the main forward flyer. Murphy and Ingle from row 3, and Todd Kelly, that's a good performance, will line up alongside Longhurst.
Paul Radicic and Stephen Richards, the ever-improving Kmart cars in qualifying. John Bowe and John Faulkner. Mark Larkham in the Mitre 10 Ford, and Jason Bargwanna alongside Paul Morris in the Big Kev Racing Commodore, and Stephen Ellery.
Back on row 9, Rodney Forbes and Brad Jones. Stephen Johnson struggling a little bit with the second of the Shell Helix Racing Fords alongside Larry Perkins. Crompton and Baird, Dougal McDougall and Cameron McConville on row 12.
Big field of V8s here. Mick Donoher and Peter Dorman start out of row 13. Anthony Tratt and Rick Bates make another appearance in the colour scan team. Paul Wheel in all sorts of drama with the K&J thermal car, just couldn't get it working properly in qualifying. Trevor Ashby, Steve Reed hit the bridge, in fact, did a lot of repair to that car, got him back on the grid. Cameron McLean in trouble too. One of the many Ford teams in trouble with AU Fords here this weekend. It's
been a great performance by the Lansvale Smash team. He wasn't expected to be here, but great to see Big Bird in action. This is John Bowe carrying the B, clear and simple. Onboard camera, there's JB. All set for action in the Caterpillar Ford.
Another man ready for action. We've got a great view out of the top of the windscreen to the Cat Ford. Mitre 10 Ford driver carrying our Mitre 10 in-car camera, Mark Larkham. And he also carries our very popular foot cam as well, which we cut to during the races.
Brad Jones, the Carlton and United on board in the Aussie Mail Ford. The driver from Albury. Hasn't had the best of seasons, was hoping to do well, particularly at his home track at the last round at Winton, but it turned into an absolute shocker for him.
Jason Bargwanna, the big winner at Winton Motor Raceway 2 weeks ago. The Walker in-car camera tells you the story, riding on the floor with the nuggety 28-year-old tremendous drive at Winton. Not quite where he wants to be in qualifying, but he saw him fight his way through from 9th to win the round overall in Victoria. Can he do it again today?
Also carrying our in-cars today, Glenn Seaton and Paul Radicic. Seaton, the man probably best charged with trying to close that gap to Mark Scaife, who leads the championship. Scaife will start from pole. 120 points separate those two. In terms of the championship, Seaton will start on row 2. He had a good performance in the second race at Winton. What can he do today?
Ford Livet race analysis from Oran Park Raceway. 32 starters, 17 laps the distance for 3 heats. That's just under 45 Ks. First to 14th, covered by 1 second in qualifying. Winner here last year was Mark Scaife. Can he do it again in 2000? Tell you what, we've got a reverse grid in race 2. Could really mix things up.
I tell you what, the first corner is going to be fun and games because it's a really difficult one. You go through a fast left-hand king, downhill into a tight left-hander and under the bridge. So if there's going to be any action, it's going to be there on the first lap. Well, amongst all the other laps, of course.
As Barry mentioned at the top of the telecast, Glenn Seaton has certainly been on the improve in the Ford Tickford Racing Falcon. There he sits on your screen to the left-hand side on the second row of the grid, nestled in amongst 5 Commodores. Holden Brigade there.
Enormous crowd in here today too. Traffic banked back. There's a lot of people here to watch the action.
Getting set for action. Will it be Tander or will it be Scaife? Who will get the jump for race 1 in round 9 of the Shell Championship Series? Lights go out. Scaife storms on the line. So too does Lowndes. Seaton got a great start and Tander is trying to run with him. Look at Lowndes coming through though. He's going to try and hold out Garth Tander. Tander's going to get hung out to dry here as they head in towards the left-hander and down towards the bridge.
Tander got a load of wheel spin there. He's initially got a decent bit of traction, then she lit up and just went backwards.
Big field jostles their way through Coca-Cola corner under the bridge.
Oh, look, good drive from Tander there.
Down around the go-kart section of the track for the first time. They're bumper to bumper, door to door.
Look at this.
Fight by Tander, tries to muscle on the outside of Craig Lowndes. They're going to go side by side up toward the bridge. Seaton wants a slice of the action too. One of the Kmart Commodores in there as well as they come under our bridge cam. Sweep down toward the S's for the first time. One of the Shell Fords there, Paul Radicic getting on the outside of the Asia Online Commodore of John Faulkner. But here they come. Mark Scaife in command on lap 1.
Yeah, where Radicic went wide there's a load of marbles there, so can't afford those. Cameron McLean.
He has had a rotten weekend so far, has had all sorts of problems with that car, and it looks like that is continuing, so he is in pit lane. Didn't even get a start, we understand. Now the field sweep out of the final turn. Contact there between Radicic and John Faulkner in the Asia Online Commodore. Scaife has cleared out a 1:15.16 on the opening lap. He's almost a second quicker than his teammate Craig Lowndes. Look at this though, Radicic.
Well, that Barney was on for almost a lap between the Shell Ford and the Asia Online machine.
Oh, somebody locking her up there in the background.
The flying Kiwi Paul Radisich prevails. The order at the moment after that first one, Mark Skate for 1:15.
Oh, Kelly's turned Bargwana around.
Double there.
Yeah, he's...
And Bargwana now is very vulnerable, sitting on the outside of the track. Hopefully everyone can squeeze through. So, from the highs of highs to the lowest of lows, the winner Motor Raceway 2 weeks ago finds himself at the back of the field, only 2 laps into race 1.
Be interesting to have a look at that again, because it did look as if Todd Kelly sort of went for a hole that wasn't there and gave him a bit of a knock.
So the order at the moment, Scaife, Lowndes, Tander in third, Seaton the first of the forwards, Greg Murphy.
Oh, look at the back of Stephen Johnson's there. That's oil, it looks like.
There is some damage to the front of that car though, Barry, so I don't know whether he's been in a concertina of some kind. Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if it's an oil cooler or something. It's all running underneath it. And
it looks pretty terminal.
Well, you would have to say that.
Power steering, he's saying.
Oh,
you can
right.
hear him there talking to the team, no doubt to team boss Dean Orr.
Yeah, that'll be all the power steering fluid just flowing all the way back.
Well, these cars, you do see this quite often. It's very important to have a power steering system. The steering loads in these cars are enormous. And when that power steering goes, you end up with extremely heavy steering wheel feel. Very, very difficult to drive the car under those circumstances. I'll be surprised if Steve, as he's pulling up the racing line to allow other cars through, I'd suspect that car into the pits next time around.
Here's his teammate Paul Radisich doing a good job. Now let's take a closer look at that incident involving Bargwana. That's the tail end of it, Barry.
Yeah, just the end of it. We couldn't really see it.
Holden Young Lions car in there.
It's a shame because Kelly's been going really good. I mean, every race has been getting quicker and quicker, and well, we'll have a look when we see it.
Scaife out in front at the moment, a 1:08.963 his last lap, ahead of teammate Craig Lowndes and defending Shell Series champion Garth Tander in third, Seaton, Murphy, Russell, Ingalls sixth position, Stephen Richards, Kelly, Longhurst and Paul Radisich completes the top 10. You saw there on the bottom of your screen that is the fastest lap so far by Mark Scaife. So he is on a charge.
Yeah, lap record here, also held by his teammate Craig Lowndes, a 1:08.06. So Scaife is about 9/10 of a second away from the lap record.
Murphy's going good, running really good.
Yeah, they really have been making progress, this team. The cars have been terrible in qualifying the last season, but they're really starting to get some speed out of them on new tyres. Here's Stephen Johnson. All sorts of damage to the number 17 Shell Ford. Yeah, in the pits he's switched it off. And I think...
Yeah, split, you heard the guy say split a line.
Yeah, split a line. That'd be the hydraulic line to the power steering. Once you've pumped all that stuff out, the car's very, very difficult to drive. So Steve goes to the back of the grid. Look at the replay.
Let's have a look here. Oh, it really wasn't room there for Todd to have a go there. It was, well, I suppose you get enthusiastic, but it really, he wasn't, that was too ambitious.
Now look at Lowndes. He's starting to close that gap, isn't he, to teammate Mark Scaife, rather. Heading down the front straight here at Oran Park. Lowndes so much closer, a 1:09.48.
Well, that was a really slow one from Scaife too. He dropped into the 10s there, 1:10.12 for the race leader. And Lowndes has really closed in on the back with the number 2 car.
When we were watching qualifying yesterday, Mike, you remember us saying how hard Lowndes was trying.
Yeah, it was tremendous competition between these two. Has been the last few seasons. Craig Lowndes now. Garth Tander in third position. As they sweep off the bridge once down toward the S's once again. Every round here critical for Garth Tander. He is quite clear this championship is not over by a long shot for the Valvoline Cummins driver. He's hungry for every point he can get. He's aware he's got 2 double points races coming up in the Queensland 500 and the FAI 1000 at Bathurst in November. And he said he's not going to stop fighting until that checkered flag falls on the last lap at Mount Panorama. Look at the position he's in now. The Valvoline Cummins car looking strong, just in behind the Red Barons and keeping them well in touch.
Well, interestingly, Seaton at the moment is second in the championship on 798 points. He is just 42 ahead of Garth Tander, and Craig Lowndes a further 42 points in the rear, so that's quite a crucial battle that's going on there at the moment. Here's Greg Murphy defending Russell Ingalls, who both of these guys did a sensational job in the second qualifying session yesterday. They had both struggled with setup in their cars in the opening practice sessions. They came out in that bottom 50% of qualifying and marched up the order, starting from positions 5 and 6, so something came good in that second qualifying session for both Murphy and Ingle.
Yeah, you see the work that Ingle, I was sitting down looking at him working on the computer and that. You see the work that he did, you know, to try and get the thing sorted out, because it was in a right old state to start with. But that's a good technician, you know, a good driver that knows what he's on about, because you could see the car progressively getting better, and then it was quite a shock to everybody when he went out and got up as high as he did.
So Scaife leads the way here at Oran Park from Tander, who's in behind that man right there on your screen. Craig Lowndes in second place, chasing teammate Mark Scaife, and the question is, will he do anything about it?
Well, the difficult thing is, you imagine Jeff Gregg, what's he supposed to do? They said, now, come on, boys, don't, you know, because they could quite easily take each other off, which really wouldn't go down well. Exactly, and Jeff, you know, what's he going to say? Take it easy, boys. He's not going to do that, you know. He's, I think he'll just leave it up to both the guys' common sense.
So Tander in third position. Bit of a gap back to Glenn Seaton in fourth. And there's the battle between Murphy and Ingle. This is the fight for fifth. And doesn't it make a difference when you get some qualifying speed out of your car? Murphy and Richards have both had good race speed this year. But in these qualifying sprints, if you don't get a good starting spot, you are in all sorts of trouble. Now he's got a good qualifying setup on the car. Murphy was able to squeeze plenty of speed out of that yesterday. And that's put him in a handy position now in front of Ingle.
They've had a couple of behind-the-scenes personnel changes there, Mark, at Kmart Racing. A couple of new engineers coming on board, so perhaps that's paying dividends for them. They certainly have got some good pace, as you say, particularly on those one-lap flyers in qualifying. Murphy storming up the order yesterday, just as he did at Winton. He was in the bottom 50% at Winton as well, and he ended up starting from grid position 3 down there and grid position 5 here. So the Kmart Commodores certainly making some inroads.
The problem is, you can't, you know, they've always had good race pace, haven't they? You can't afford, with the competition the way it is now, to give away 3 or 4 rows on the grid, can you? That's it. Oh, look, Longhurst had a whack in the side there.
Currently sitting 9th, Tony Longhurst. It's the battle to stay inside the top 10. Paul Radicic, John Faulkner just behind there, Mark Larkham in the Mitre 10 car. Interesting thing this weekend, a lot of the Ford teams, particularly some of the lower funded teams, have complained about just throwing every possible setup they could at these cars and not getting any change in terms of the car's feel or in terms of lap time. So for some reason, a lot of these AU Falcons are struggling at Oran Park this weekend.
Having a word to Mark Larkham yesterday, he mentioned that a lot of the data they had from last year's race, he was absolutely no good to them because they're on the new Bridgestone control tyre here, and he said the car is behaving so much differently on that tyre. Now Radicic.
It's funny, as Mark says, though, every Ford team you talk to says exactly the same thing, that they can get a car right for, say, Oran Park and take it to Queensland Raceway or Phillip Island, and they virtually need to rebuild it, you know, to get it right.
That's been the biggest problem with this car, hasn't it? I mean, every now and again, if you drop in on the right setup, as Larkham proved at Bathurst last year, the thing is an absolute bullet, but it's just so rarely that anyone seems to drop in on a good combination. It's a very, very inconsistent car in terms of trying to dial it into the correct setup. The team's been struggling with that for 18 months, but this new initiative by Tiga, they're calling Project Blueprint, where they're going to try and standardise things like aerodynamics and brakes and shock absorbers and things like that. Maybe we'll finally get to that equality between Ford and Holden that we've been looking for so long. This is on board.
And look at the back end of Longhurst. It's very bumpy out there. Yeah, really, I can't believe how bumpy it is up there.
Must be so hard for both of these teams. They're Queensland based, and as you mentioned, they do a lot of their testing at Queensland Raceway, which is billiard table smooth, and it's so much different here at Oran Park Raceway. In the lead up to this round, there was a successful test for the Shell Helix Racing team. Both Radicic and Stephen Johnson were quietly confident heading into this round. They reckon they were able to pull times similar to that set by the Holden Racing team when they grabbed pole position for the Queensland round, but it hasn't translated thus far into anything exciting for DJR.
So Paul Radicic continues to attack. This is further up in the field. Greg Murphy coming under increasing pressure from the enforcer, Russell Ingle. The battle continuing for fifth. Mark Scaife, Craig Lowndes, Garth Tander and Glenn Seaton up ahead of them.
Well, right now we're midway through race 1. 3 races here today at Oran Park. Skate showing the way to teammate Craig Lowndes, Tander and Seaton. 3rd and 4th. Murphy doing a good job. You can see him battling away there with Russell Ingall. Stephen Richards in 7th. Todd Kelly, the Holden Young Lion, in 8th. And it's Longhurst, Radicic, Faulkner and Larkham. Stay with us. Loads more coming your way right after this. Nice to have you with us for round 9 of the Shell Championship Series, wherever you're watching right around Australia or through TV1 in New Zealand at the moment. Mark Skaife showing the way. The Red Barons out in front again. It's been a successful hunting ground for them, Oran Park, in recent years. And when they come here, they've always got a good base package to start with, and look at them. Again, doing a marvellous job out in front. Lowndes in 2nd, Tander in 3rd, Glenn Seaton in 4th, and Greg Murphy and Russell Ingall having a great dice for 5th.
You've got to say that Tander's the only one on a regular basis that can serve it up to the HRT or can get anywhere near them.
Yeah, he's only got a sniff of their lead, hasn't he? Might as well not hold the Oran Park round, because you know what the result's going to be. It's certainly been that way the last 5 years. The Holden Racing team have been on pole position the last 5 years, and certainly looking at the speed here, if the reverse grid or the reversing of the top 6 in race 2 doesn't upset them too much, looking very much like another 1-2 to the factory Holden team.
So you reckon you wouldn't have gotten good odds on HRT this weekend here?
No, I reckon they get worse than... Is it possible to get worse than evens?
I think even Billy Woods could have won some money on that.
Further back in the pack, Stephen Richards now starting to close in on the back of Ingall. He's stuck in this Kmart sandwich. There's Murphy. He's opened up a little bit of a gap on the Castrol Commodore. Tony Longhurst continues, currently 8th in the championship, the 43-year-old Queenslander. Putting in some consistent performance. Caltech's Haviland forward. And Todd Kelly had a great qualifying session. His best qualifying performance so far in the Holden Young Lions machine. So he's getting better and better as the year progresses. Great to see.
Word from the pits, Mark, is that the stewards are likely to look at that incident between Kelly and Jason Bargwanna, which took Bargs out early in the piece in this race. So Kelly, well, he's doing a good job on the circuit, but he might be getting a quick march to the stewards after this one. There's Larry Perkins, I should say, in the 2nd of the Castrol Commodores, battling away with Rodney Forbes. The 16th position.
Larry got pinged for noise or excessive noise yesterday by the EPA, who set up monitoring devices at all races around Australia. Larry was pinged at 1 decibel over the 95 dBA limit. So you can see he went to all sorts of trouble to try and put baffles and all sorts of sound deflectors and stuff on the exhaust to try and get it back under the limit. They've got to be very, very careful about that. Plenty of drivers have been pinged in the past for excessive noise.
There's Bargs on the recovery road. We saw on the tail there of that group, including Neil Crompton, Brad Jones, Larry Perkins, Rodney Forbes. Craig Baird's in there as well, who recently celebrated his 30th birthday last weekend. Craig Baird, now residing on the Gold Coast, the Kiwi. Here's Brad Jones, our Carlton and United on board, showing you the way. Rodney Forbes in the Wins Commodore just in front of him.
Well, they made some changes to this car this morning, and in the warm-up, Brad said he was much happier. But look at this up the inside. Rodney Forbes got a beautiful run out of that corner. So good, in fact, he carries that speed, shot out there like a bullet. Now he carries a bit of speed down the main straight.
Look at this Crompton. This is going to be exciting.
Crompton just has a sniff up the inside too. Gives him racing room. Oh, so close as they come down.
Oh, dear me.
Baird just got right into the side.
Did he get Bargwanna? Did he, when Baird went back across the circuit, it looked ever so close.
I think Bargs actually got through on him, Baz. So I think Bargs...
Round and round we go.
Locked up his back brakes again. I wonder if that was... Might have had some dirt or something on his rear tyres. That car, as soon as he got on the brakes, the
just
back end came around. So Rodney Forbes taking a number of drives through the countryside already in race 1.
And we understand at the moment, only a handful of laps left to go in this one. But as it stands, with 3 to go, Russell Ingall will be on pole for our reverse grid race. He's in 6th position at the moment. If things don't change, Rusty will have pole for race 2.
Just a reminder, if you're watching at home after this, Baz.
Oh, look at this. Right, yes, that's Baird up the inside there. Wow, Forbes really closed the door there. I mean, there's no two ways about that, was there, really? And just have a look here on the inside. Yeah. Right, closed door syndrome. Now here, I was worried. No, it wasn't. I thought there may have been a bit of a bang there.
The Bargwanna continues to charge through the field after getting turned around on lap 2. He's up to 19th position. So he's a real charger, this guy. He's made some great progress. Of course, your progress gets tougher as you get closer toward the front of the field. Just
a reminder, if you're on the net a lot, why not check out the latest on the Shell Championship Series or the Konica V8 lights. Go to the official V8 Supercar website, v8supercar.com.au. There's profiles on your favourite drivers and much, much more. And while you're there, why not check out 10.com.au? That is the official Channel 10 website containing information on all your favourite stars and shows, as well as program times, the latest news headlines and details of the day in sport from Sports Tonight.
That's a fantastic view from our 10 Motorsport camera. Look at that. It's virtually sitting in the back seat of Jason Bargwanna's car. And that is one of the most incredible views you'll see of motor racing. You can see everything, the driver's input through the steering wheel. You can see the dashboard, the gear stick. You can see his feet dancing on the pedals.
That is the best view of any, I reckon.
It really
is good, isn't it?
Watch as he comes through the corners here. You can see how much steering lock he puts in. You see his feet on the pedals there too. So they change without even touching the clutch pedal. Only use it on the down change, but they change up. No clutch pedal whatsoever.
That incident with Todd Kelly, which happened right here on the circuit, has only served to fire Bargs up, I think, because he's driving at 11 tenths, isn't he?
He really is. He's up behind Neil Crompton now. If he takes Crompton, that'll be 18th. So continuing a steady march through the field. If he starts from 18th or somewhere thereabouts for race 2, and just to fight his way back through the field, should be another good day for Bargwanna. What a rotten start to the weekend, though. Great shots here, right up behind the FTR Falcon. Another replay base.
Yeah, I reckon you're right. I reckon just the dirt on the rear end of it. Rear tyres, and because I mean, it's just the second he got on the brakes and locked it up.
Well, we're on our way home in this one. Scaife and Lowndes showing the way at the moment. Our Shell Series Championship points leader ahead of the defending champion. There's Garth Tander, who sits in 3rd, from Glenn Seaton in 4th position. But a start to finish victory coming up for Mark Scaife. Another dominant performance from Holden Racing. They're just so strong, aren't they?
Extra strong mints.
They're so well prepared, these cars. They come here every year. Paul Wheel in trouble in the K&J Radiators Falcon. But HRT have certainly got a good base package to start with, and all they do is fine-tune it. And Scaife, who's brilliant behind the wheel, gets out there and does what he does best. He will take out race 1 at Oran Park in convincing fashion over teammate Craig Lowndes, and 3rd is Garth Tander. There's Seaton getting home in 4th position. Now the battle for pole, if you like, for race 2. Murphy gets across the line in 5th. He'll be on the front row for race 2, but Ingle will have pole for our race 2 reverse grid.
That should be really interesting, because if you look at Murphy was going really good in that. So I'm kind of a fan of the reverse grid thing. Okay, it may in some cases do some drivers no favours at all, and then in the next race it's like lapped people. You lap someone, one time they'll muck up your day for you, another time they'll make your day. So I think it's good for the spectators as well.
I think it's going to be incredibly exciting. Just a reminder on that, folks, they're reversing the top 6 grid positions for race 2, so they will start the top 6 finishes in that first race that we've just seen will be reversed around for the start of race 2, so that should create some real excitement. And Russelling will be on pole.
And then the grid for race 3 is the aggregate, so they get points for the first race, points for the second race, and it's the aggregates of, it's the one with the highest points goes as pole position, down to 6, and then the 7th position is the 7th guy on the road.
Well, the massive crowd congratulate Mark Scaife, who takes victory in the opener. Craig Lowndes finishing in 2nd, Tander 3rd. That's a good performance. Seaton, the best of the Ford Brigade from Murphy, and our pole sitter for race 2, Russell Ingall for the reverse grid. Stephen Richards and Todd Kelly completing the top 8. Longhurst, Radisich, Faulkner and Larkham, and John Bowe in 13th. Bit further back, Brad Jones there and Neil Crompton. They had a great battle all the way to the line, didn't they? And Bargwanna forcing his way after that earlier contact up to 19th.